Hello, it is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome to the July series of 5-minute flowers. We are going to do a cherry blossom, so let me turn you guys around and we will get started. I have out a liner brush. I have out my palette of colors because I'm doing the whole series. I'm going to use my liner brush. I'm going to get a little bit of this burnt umber. I'm adding a little bit of water. I want my burnt umber on my liner brush to move smoothly. So I'm picking up a little bit of burnt umber on my liner brush. I'm twirling it between my thumb and my forefinger. And then I'm just going to swipe it in here on that yellow ochre. Okay? I'm going to, let's do it long ways. I'm going to hold it down. And I'm just going to put in some branches because we want some place to put our cherry blossoms. I'm not going to make too many branches, but we just want a place where we're going to add our cherry blossoms and we have some kind of background going around. And so this would be a branch of our cherry blossom tree. Okay? And I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to go in and get my 1/2-inch flat brush. This is a plaid number 12. I don't usually use the numbers because numbers across brushes and brush manufacturers are not universal. So what's a 12 in one brand is not necessarily a 12 in another brand, and so that would not help you. This is about a 1/2-inch wide brush, about the size of my pointer finger. Okay. I'm going to load it up with a little bit of this floating medium so my brush moves smoothly on my little cardstock here. And then I'm going to pick up some magenta and some white and make my little runway here. Need a little bit more white. Okay. I want to get the paint up into my bristles, but not as far as the metal. Magenta and white. The first thing I want to do, I'm going to put a full flower right here, front and center. I'm going to stand my brush up. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure, make a nudge up, and then come down to where I started. I'm going to do 5 of those in a circle. So I have magenta and white. Let me fix my brush. I'm standing up. I'm putting a little bit of pressure and I'm bumping out, and then I'm coming down. That's 2. Sometimes if you want, you can just do round and come in. That's 3. You can continue to do the bump out if you want. That's 4. And then that's 5. Okay. I'm going to take the corner of my brush and I'm going to tap in the center of my cherry blossom. You want to still be able to see some white. You're not doing full coverage here. And then I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to take the back of my brush in my yellow ochre and tap in a center. And then I'm going to go back to my liner brush. I'm going to mix a little bit of my black over here with my white. I want mostly a very, very, very light gray. We want it to stand out. And I'm going to add in some stamens. And I'm just flicking in these little white lines for my stamens into the center of my blossom. Okay? And then I'm going to go into my brown. And I'm going to put a dab of brown. You can do this with the yellow ochre at the end of each of my stamens. So there is our first full cherry blossom. Okay. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to get my magenta and my white again. Pick up a little bit of floating medium, work it in there. And this time I'm going to do a couple of buds. Okay? So I want the white to the top. It's going to be a little cone shape. So I'm going to just make a little U. Okay? And then with my burgundy and my white, I'm going to close up the top and come in. Okay? I'll show you again. So I'm going to make a little U. I'm keeping the white to the top, and I wanted a little bit of a cone shape, so then I close it off, but it's narrower at the top, and then I'm just going to swish in. So I have my two buds. I'm going to come back to my brown with my liner brush between my thumb and my forefinger, and I'm going to just add in 3 little lines so it cups in my flower bud, just like that. Okay? And then we can do a side view. Okay? More large cherry blossom. Get my floating medium, purple with the magenta and the white. I'm going to load it up in here. Okay. I'm going to stand up, put a little dip and turn. Stand up, push out, little dip and turn. You can just do a round petal if you want. I'm going to stand up, push out, stand up and push out. Okay? I'm going to dip the corner of my brush in the magenta and put in some random dots. Then I'm going to get my yellow ochre and put in the center. And then I'm going to go back to my liner brush. This light gray that I made here. And I'm going to now add in all these little stamen as I work my way around the center here of my flower. And then I'm going to get a little bit of brown. I'm not even going to wash my brush. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put the little pollen pods at the tip of every one. And there we have it. Thanks for watching. Hello, it is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art. We love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome to July's 5-minute flower painting tutorial of the Larkspur. Let me turn you guys around. Okay, I have my little 4x6 card. I have out my July paint colors. They will be listed at the beginning of the video if you haven't seen them already. I'm going to get a little bit of this cobalt, a little bit of this Prussian blue, and I'm going to load my brush. Now I'm going to pick up some white and I'm going to put it on the cobalt, I'm going to need some more white, side of my brush. Okay. So I have a dark and a light value, and I've used the cobalt and the Prussian blue and some white. I'm going to put out a little bit more fresh white. Now, a larkspur is a tall cone flower, and it's different. It starts out a little different with just some petals, and as it works its way down, then you have some full flowers. So I'm going to show you how we accomplish that. It's also in a little bit of a triangle shape. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stand my brush up, I'm going to touch and pull. Then I'm going to come to the side, I'm going to touch and pull, I'm going to touch and pull. And that's basically the top. Okay, get a little bit more paint. And now I'm going to start getting a little bit of wider. So I'm going to push out to the side and pull and push out to the side and pull. Okay? Now we're going to do a little bit on the side, little tiny buds. So I'm going to stand my brush up, just make a little curve, and then a little curve underneath, and then a line and a line. Okay? So I stand my brush up. I'm almost like making the letter N. I'm going to push and go to the side. Now I'm on the bottom. I'm going to push, making a U, and go up. And then I'm going to make a little petal and a little petal. Okay? And you see it's working down. I'm graduating, right? Let me get you guys a little bit closer. How's that? Okay? All right, now I'm going to get my blue and my white. I'm going to put over here. Okay? And now we want a larger flower in the middle. So I'm going to do the same thing I did here, but a little bit bigger. There's my N. And when I mean N, it means I curve up. And then on the bottom, I curve down. So the top goes up, the bottom goes down. And then I'm going to grab these, and I'm just going to a little bit of pressure and pull and pull and pull. Okay. Fix my brush again. It's very important when you create this flower, this larkspur, that your brush always has a nice chisel edge. Let me see if I can get my blues in here. When I move you in, it's hard for then you guys to see everything. You want a nice chisel edge on your brush. You want two colors on your brush. And because we're going out in a cone shape, now I'm going to come out here. I'm going to do one little petal up in here, and then petal and petal, and then one little petal, and then petal and petal. Okay, and we're getting wider as we go down. So blue, white, chisel edge. If I feel like my paint is not moving smooth enough, I will dip it in a little bit of my clear floating medium right there. Okay. Now I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to do a larger flower again. So there's my bud, and then here's my side petals. I'm putting my brush on a 45 and just bringing it out that way. Putting my brush on the 45 and just bringing it out that way, and then pull and pull. When your brush starts to get a little globby, you want to take whatever it is you're using to dry it off and just clean it off, and then you can go back and reload again and start over. You always want your brush to have a nice chisel edge. So I don't have to wash it, but I'm just going back. I reloaded it with the Prussian blue and the cobalt, and then I added some white. I'm going to add one of these big ones in here again, and they can overlap. I'm doing the same thing I did with the side one. Wiggling it out to the side, wiggling it out to the side. Prussian white. Wiggling it out to the side, wiggling it out to the side. And then pull and pull. Now we have some space in here. And I'm going to add in another one. Make my N shape. Now I'm going to make my U shape. And then we need these little side petals. So I'm going to pull and pull and then pull and pull. Now we can keep going. We can make this as long as we want. I'm going to leave my flower at that for now. I'm going to show you how we're going to add some leaves to this. I'm going to come around here. Again, I'm going to pick up some of this floating medium, dark green, light green, and then my little runway. Dark green, light green, my little runway. Okay, I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to have one leaf out there and one leaf out there. So I want to start with a V. I'm going to stand my brush upright and I'm going to wiggle the outer edge to a point. Okay, the same thing here. Stand up on the chisel edge. I'm going to wiggle the outer dark edge of my brush and come to a point and then put a stem in there. I'll show you that again. Dark, light, we want a V. It may look like a bird to you. If I turn it this way, it is a V, okay? I have my dark to the outside. I'm putting a little bit of pressure. I'm wiggling my brush, and then I'm going straight. Same thing here. My dark paint to the outside. I'm wiggling my outside edge of my brush, and then I'm going in straight. Okay? And then you can just add a stem and a bunch of filler leaves. And when I say filler leaves, let me fix my brush. I'm just pulling in some leaves, applying a little bit of pressure to my brush. You can even use your liner brush if you want. Pick up some dark green, and I'm just putting a stem down here. You can't really see it, and I'm just pulling in dark leaves and light green leaves out to the side and filling in. Oops, a little too much there. There we go. The inside with some filler leaves. Sometimes some dark, sometimes some white, light, and there we go. And there is our Larkspur. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, it is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art. Let's get started on our July geranium painting tutorial. I have out my color palette here. I have been working on the Larkspur and the cherry blossom, and I even did a quick little dragonfly. The colors for this flower are listed at the beginning of this video, and I'm going to get started. I'm actually going to load my brush with some floating medium first, because I want my brush to move smoothly on this canvas paper here, cardstock. I'm going to load it with the red and this yellow ochre, and I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure. I want to get the brush, the paint up into the brush but not into the metal part. This is similar to the cherry blossom and my 5-petal flower, except it has a few more petals and the colors. Okay, so we're going to stand up. I'm going to keep the yellow to the outside. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to apply some pressure, turn, and come back. Okay, yellow and red. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to apply some pressure to my brush and come back. Stand up, push out, apply some pressure, and come back. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white this time. I'm going to stand up, apply some pressure, stand up, apply some pressure. So there we have our 5 petals. I'm going to go over the beginning ones too, because since I picked up some white, it's hard to see the ochre against this cardstock, so I add a little bit of white to the outside edge. Okay, that's one. I'm going to load my brush. I'm going to fix my chisel edge by coming over here on my runway and putting a little bit of pressure on my brush. I'm going to work in some white now on the yellow side. Okay, and here we go. I have the yellow to the outside. We're going to pretend that that's the center. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure to my brush. I'm going to come around. I'm going to put my brush right there on the center again. I'm going to stand up and put a little bit of pressure so my fibers flare out. Get some more red. Stand up. I'm putting a little bit of pressure. I want my fibers to spread out and come back. Stand up. A little bit of pressure. A little bit of pressure. Come back. Okay, we have our two buds there. Let's do another one up here. Fix my brush. Load it up again. Okay. Here's our center. Pressure, turn, stand up. Red, yellow. Pressure, turn, stand up. Red, yellow. Pressure, stand, turn up. Pressure, stand, turn up. Red, yellow. I needed paint. I didn't think I did. And then there we go. So now I have my 3 blossoms. I'm going to wash my brush and I'm going to get my liner brush. I'm going to pick up some green with my liner brush. And I'm going to pull in some stems. Okay? I need a little bit of water. I want to loosen up my green paint here a little bit. I'm just going to add a few little leaves. I'm using my liner brush and I'm just pulling up pressure, but then I release the pressure so when it gets to the stem it's a little bit thinner. A lot of pressure, curve around, but thin into the stem. Pressure, turn around, thin into the stem. Okay? But now we're going to do one big geranium leaf, and I love these geranium leaves. They're so cool. I have my 1/2-inch brush. I'm going to dry it off. I'm going to load it again with dark green and light green and go back to my runway here. Pick up a little bit of floating medium, dark green, light green, runway. Sometimes the floating medium will pick up the paint that you already had on your plate, so I have to go and start a new runway. Okay, let me get my dark green and my light green. Now, a geranium leaf is a little bit more round and it comes together. I'm actually going to go over this one. So I'm going to have my brush here and I'm going to go around to there. This is more of a round leaf. I'm going to come here, I'm going to push it out. You want the outside edge of your leaf to be a little rounded. See how my whole leaf there is a little rounded? I'm going to do another one down here. Dark green, light green. And so I'm going to put it in here. I'm having a little bit of a bump out, but as I work my way around, we're going to come back and meet in the same place because I want the outside edge of my leaf to be rounded. Okay? And then I'm going to clean my brush. Now this is the cool part of a geranium leaf. Okay. Dry it off. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to load my brush with the floating medium. And then I'm just going to pick a corner in the red. So now you can't see it. My brush is moving smoothly because I have the floating medium on it. But then just the edge of my brush has color in it. It has the red. And I'm going to come back here And now I'm going to make a red ring inside the middle of my geranium leaf. It's the same thing I did before. The middle of my brush is clear, and I'm just bringing around that red ring right inside my leaf. And there we have our geranium. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, it is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art. I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome to one of July's quick and easy 5-minute tutorials. I'm going to turn you guys around and we are going to get started. So I have out my little 4x6 card that I do these little tutorials on. I also have out my paint because I'm going to be doing this series now. I'm going to load my brush with a little bit of this, what's called floating medium. 2 reasons. One reason is because I'm going to do a dragonfly and the wings tend to be a little bit translucent. And the second reason is because when I paint on cardstock, multimedia, whatever, I want my brush to move like butter. So I put this floating medium on here. It helps loosens up the paint. It helps my paintbrush glide a little bit. This is the floating medium. I think it's been rebranded since I bought this bottle. But yes, Folk Art Floating Medium. It is what is in paint before they add the pigment or the color. Okay, I have out my card. I've loaded up my brush with the floating medium. I'm going to dip one corner in the dark green and one corner in this ultramarine blue, and I'm going to double load. Okay, putting a lot of pressure on my brush. I want to get the paint up into the bristles, but not as high as the metal part, which is the ferrule. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit more blue, a little bit more green. I'm going to put a little dot for my starting point. I'm going to stand my brush up and push out a little bit more paint. Push out for the wing, come in with a little dip, and then push back in. Okay? Then I'm going to put my brush, stand my brush up on the chisel edge and pull in for the bottom wing. Okay? I'm going to turn it around. I know you guys are like, what the heck is that? Don't worry, don't judge. We got a few more steps to do. Okay? Got my green and my blue, working it into my brush. That's where I started before. Again, I'm going to apply some pressure to my brush. I'm going to push out. I'm going to come in for a little bit of a dip, and I'm going to pull back in. Then I'm going to get some green and some blue, stand up on the chisel edge, and push in. There are my dragonfly wings. Okay, I'm going to get some green now. And the first thing I'm going to do, again, stand up on the chisel edge, squash my brush, and pull. I'm going to turn my canvas, my surface, completely around. Got my green. Stand my brush up. I'm going to squash it and pull. There's my dragonfly body. Then I'm going to get the back of my brush, and I'm going to put my head in there. So now we have the basis for our dragonfly body. I'm going to wash my brush, put it over here, and I'm going to get my liner brush. So I was using about a 1/2 inch flat brush. Now I'm going to use my liner brush. Got it nice and dry. Actually, I want to dip a little bit of water into my brush. I want to loosen up my white paint. When we use our liner brush, we want our liner brush to move smoothly. So I'm thinning out some paint here. We don't want it to drip right off the brush when we hold the brush upside down, but we do want it to be a little bit looser so it moves. Okay, I'm using Plaid Folk Art paint, which is very thick and rich and creamy, but when we use our liner brush, we want it to be a little bit more thin. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to lightly put in some veins for our dragonfly. Little details for the wings. Put a little bit of a highlight on the body. And down here as well. And there is our dragonfly. Thanks for watching.